In this video, you're going to build your very first AI agent, even if you've never heard of that term before. You've probably used an AI chatbot like ChatGPT. It can answer questions and have conversations. Now, picture that same chatbot, but connected to all of your tools. So you can actually do things. Send an email, update a spreadsheet, post to Slack. And here's the big difference. An AI agent doesn't just respond to you. It can also take initiative and handle tasks all on its own. That's the power of an AI agent, and that's exactly what we're going to build step by step. Hi, I'm Kevin, and let's dive in. To build our AI agent, we'll be using Make, and you'll find a link right here at the bottom of the screen. I partnered with them to show you how this works. If you've never heard of Make before, it's a visual platform where you connect your apps and services with simple drag and drop blocks. Now, with AI agents, these flows can think and act on their own. Instead of writing code, you sketch out how you want information to move, and the agent figures out the rest. Set up an account, and I'll see you on the other side. Before we dive into the steps, here's the scenario we're going to build. At the Kevin Cookie Company, customers email us with lots of different questions. Some are simple, like, what are your hours? Or do your cookies contain nuts? Others, though, are bigger issues, like someone asking if we could ship 1,000 cookies by Friday. Our AI agent will take care of the easy ones all on its own, replying with the right information. And when it sees a special request, it'll escalate that message to Slack so a human can step in. Now, this is just one example scenario, but by the end, you'll have all the essentials that you need to create AI agents for whatever your needs happen to be. Once you finish signing into Make, you'll land here on the main My Organization view. To create an agent, over on the left-hand side under My Team, let's click on AI Agents Beta. Right near the top of this page, let's click on Create Agent. Right up on top, let's click on Create a Connection. Here, I can choose the provider. This is the brains behind the agent, and in a moment, we'll choose the AI model working behind the scenes. Different providers have different strengths. Some are great at reasoning, others at speed or cost. Pick the one that best matches what you want your agent to do. I'm going to use Make's AI provider since it works right away without any extra setup. I'll leave the connection name set to the default, and then down below, let's click on Save. Next, we need to give the agent a name. I'm going to call mine the KCC Support Agent. That way I know what it does. Underneath that, we need to select a model. Now, we have a few different options. I'll go with large since I think that'll work well for most customer support tasks. Finally, we also need to enter in a system prompt, and this is where we describe exactly what this agent should do. Here, I'll type in some text. Now, if we go up, I want it to handle customer emails for the Kevin Cookie Company. If the email matches a known FAQ, well, draft a friendly reply. If it's complex, so let's say a bulk order, maybe a refund, a complaint, or maybe the request is unclear, then I want the AI agent to escalate it to Slack with a summary and also a suggested reply. And here are some guardrails at the very end. Never issue refunds or discounts on your own. Once you finish entering all this information in the bottom right, click on Save. This brings us into the main configuration view, where we can continue building the agent. Right now, my agent doesn't know how to handle customer questions. I need to give it some knowledge or context. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see the option to add context. This is background information the agent can reference to do its job more effectively. Right here, let's click on Add. Here's a quick preview of the file that I'm going to upload. It's the Kevin Cookie Company Frequently Asked Questions, or FAQ. It contains information like, what are your store hours? Do your cookies contain nuts? Do you deliver? And lots of other questions. These are some of the most common questions that we get here at the Kevin Cookie Company. Let's go back to Make. Back within Make, I'll select my file, and then I can drag and drop it in. Right over here, I'll release it. And here we can see the Kevin Cookie Company FAQ. That looks good. Let's click on Upload. It looks like it's successfully uploaded the file. Right down below, you'll notice a few extra options. We have something called MCP. This lets you connect the agent to outside tools and services. That's more advanced, so let's skip it for now. There are also system tools, which makes tools available to your agent everywhere. But in this video, we'll just assign tools later on. For now, over on the right-hand side, let's do a quick test. Let's ask the question, what are the store hours? If you recall, that information is contained in the FAQ. Let's try sending that. Right up above, the AI agent pulls the information out of the FAQ into a nicely and friendly written response. Customers are going to love this. In the top right-hand corner, let's click on Save. Awesome. We just tested the agent, and what do you know? It can answer questions. Now, let's make it actually do some work. To do that, we need to set up what's called a trigger. A trigger tells the agent when to start working. In my case, I want it to respond whenever a new email arrives. So that new email becomes the trigger for the agent. Over on the left-hand side navigation, let's click into Scenarios. In the top right-hand corner, let's create a new scenario. We're going to build from scratch. Right here, let's click on this option. Now we're in a brand new scenario. In Make, a scenario is just an automation workflow. Basically, a series of steps that run in order. This is where I can build out the workflow for my agent. The first step is to set up the trigger, and I want the trigger to be new emails coming in. So right here in the center of the screen, let's click on this big plus icon. Here, I see thousands of different apps that Make can connect to. With Make, you're not just limited to just one or two tools. You can link up thousands of services from Google Sheets to Slack to OpenAI and beyond. In my case, I want to watch for new emails. So right down here at the bottom, I'll search for Outlook, since that's my email provider. If you're using Gmail or something else, you can just type it in here and select it. Once I choose my app, right here at the top, I see a list of all of these different modules. A module is just an activity that happens within that app. Like, let's say watching for new rows in a spreadsheet, or in this case, watching for new email messages right here at the top. I'll click on this one. This means that every time a customer email lands in my inbox, this scenario will automatically kick off and my agent will know that it has work to do. If this is your first time using this service within Make, you'll have to start by establishing a connection. I'll go ahead and do that. Once you connect your account, you can configure different options. For example, do you want to watch all messages or just a specific folder? I'll click here and let's set it up to look at just my inbox. You can also add other filters if you only want certain types of emails. Now, I'll leave it simple for now, and in the bottom right-hand corner, I'll click on Save. That way, whenever a new email arrives, the scenario will automatically start. Right up here, I'll set it to from now on, and then let's click on Save again. Now that we've added the trigger, the next step is to bring in the agent. The agent is the brain of this workflow. It's what will read the incoming email, understand it, and decide how to respond. So right over here, let's click on this plus icon. And here again, we see all the different apps that we could choose from. Now, we want to bring in the agents. So down at the bottom, let's type in Make AI Agents. And right at the top, we see the option for Make AI Agents, and we want to run the agent that we created. So let's click on this option. Let's start by choosing the agent that we created earlier. Right here, I'll click on this dropdown, and you should see the agent that we saved earlier. I'll click on this option. Now that we've selected the agent, the first option is to assign tools. For example, we could let the agent send emails or post to Slack. Since we haven't built those tools yet, let's skip this step for now. Let's now look all the way at the bottom where we have this category for messages. Think of this as the input the agent receives. In this case, I want to pass in the customer's email details so the agent knows exactly what it's working with. Let's click on Add Item. When I click into the message field, over on the left-hand side, I see all the data that comes back from the email trigger. This includes everything from the subject line, the body, the sender's address, even the message ID. What I want to do here is map just the parts that my agent needs. So over here, I'll type in some text. I want the email message ID, the subject, the body, and the address. So right here, first off, let's find the message ID. Here I see everything I'm getting back from Outlook, and there's the message ID. Let's now see if I could find the subject. Right here, we have the subject. If I look down a little bit more, we have the email body or the contents of the email body, and here's the sender's email address. I'll make sure to select all of these, and they're all now inserted into message 1. This way, the agent has all the context it needs to understand the message and generate the right response. Finally, let's also include instructions on how the reply should be formatted. Right here, I'll click Add Item, and here we have an option for message 2. I'll type in some text. Format the body content message to send to the customer in HTML. And here I've also included some HTML tags that I would like it to use. I just want to keep it simple. We're now all done configuring the AI agent. So in the bottom right-hand corner, let's click on Save. In the top left-hand corner, let's now give this scenario a name. I'll call it Respond to Customer Email. Then on the bottom toolbar, let's make sure to save it. I'll click on the Save icon. Over here, we can also define how often we want this scenario to run. I want it to run as soon as we receive an email. So instead of running at regular intervals, let's click on this dropdown, and right over here, we could select On Demand. Let's set that and then click on Save. And right here, we can now activate the scenario. Let's click on that. Then on the bottom, let's save once again. Now that our agent's created, we need to give it the ability to actually get things done by giving it access to tools. A tool is essentially a skill you add to your AI agent. On its own, the agent can only read and understand text, but with tools, you can extend what it can do. For example, we'll add an email tool which allows it to send emails. We'll add a Slack tool so it could post in the channels. You can also add tools for Google Sheets or CRMs so you can log data or update records. Think of tools as giving your agent arms and legs so it can take real action in the world, not just talk about it. To add a tool, let's click back into Scenarios, and in the top right-hand corner, let's create another new scenario. Each tool is its own scenario that the agent can call when it needs to take action. We're going to start by building a customer email reply tool. Then we'll add a second tool or another scenario to post a message in Slack. That way, the team is notified whenever the agent escalates something. Since this email reply tool will be used by the agent, let's start by adding inputs. At the very bottom, let's click on this icon. Inputs are the details the agent passes in when it calls the tool. Let's click on Add Item. To be able to send an email, well, first off, we need to know, well, which email. So we want the email message ID. That's the first bit of information for the agent to be able to use this tool. Then let's scroll down a little bit more. Before we send the email, we also want to include the agent's response to the customer. So we need another piece of input from the agent, which is the email reply text. That's all the information that we need as inputs. So down below, let's click on Save. Now that we've defined those inputs, we can actually build out the steps to send the email. Right here, let's click on this plus icon. Down below, I'll search for Outlook. And here, let's click on Show More. Now, I want it to respond to an existing message, and here I see the option for reply to a message. I'll select this one. Here, we can enter the inputs so Outlook knows exactly how to send the reply. Right up on top, we have one of the key items called the message ID. This ties the response back to the original customer email. I'll click in here, and then right up on top, let's click on this icon. And here we have all the different variables. Let's select the email message ID that we defined on the input screen. Then we could close this. Then we need to map the email body that my agent generated. That way the reply includes the right content. So let's click here. And once again, let's click on this icon. And there I see the email reply text. Let's click on that. Once these are set, the agent can automatically respond to the correct email with the proper message. In the bottom right-hand corner, let's click on Save. In the top left-hand corner, let's give this tool a name. I'm going to call this the email reply tool. Then on the bottom toolbar, let's save this. We can also define when this tool should run. I want the agent to be able to use it on demand. Let's click on this. And then in this drop down at the very bottom, let's select on demand and then click on Save. And let's activate the scenario. On the bottom bar, let's save once again. And that's what's involved in creating a tool. We're going to do this once more when we create our post to Slack tool. So just like we did before, over on the left-hand side, let's click into Scenarios. In the top right-hand corner, let's click on Create Scenario. And then let's start by adding the inputs. Down on the bottom bar, let's click on this icon. I want the agent to pass in some key details from the email. So let's click on Add Item. And the first thing I'd like is the customer's email address. All these other settings look good. Down below, let's click on Add Item once more. And I would also like the email subject. Then let's scroll down a little bit more, click on Add Item. And for the last one, let's enter in the email body. That way, when the message gets posted to Slack, the team can see exactly who it's from and what it's about without even opening the inbox. Once all these inputs are set, in the bottom right-hand corner, let's click on Save. Now let's add the Slack module and map them in, just like we did with the Outlook reply. Right here, let's click on this plus icon. Right down below, let's search for Slack. I'll type that in, and I want to post a new message. So over here, let's take a look to see if there's an action that aligns with that. Here we have the option to create a message. Let's select that one. And if this is your first time connecting to Slack, you'll need to create a connection. I'll go ahead and do that. Now let's finish setting up the Slack tool. Right up on top, I can choose the channel where I want it to post. I'll click on this dropdown and let's select from a list. Right over here, I could set it to a public channel. That sounds good. And right here, I could select which public channel. We have one for customer escalations, so I'll choose this one. Finally, in the text field, we can map in details from the email. So over here, I want to feed in 3 different pieces of information: the customer email address, the subject, and also the body. So over here, let's first get the customer email address. Remember, we configured this as one of the inputs that the agent will send to this tool. Right up on top, let's click on this icon, and here I see the customer email address. I'll select that. Here for the email subject, let's select this item. And right here for the email body, let's select this input. This way, whenever the agent escalates an issue, the team will see the full context right inside Slack without needing to dig through the inbox. Now that we've configured all this information, in the bottom right, let's click on Save. To finalize this tool, in the top left-hand corner, let's give this tool a name. I'm going to call this Post Escalation to Slack. Then on the bottom, let's click on Save. Here, we could define when it should run. I want it to run on demand, so right down here, let's select that. Then click on Save. Let's activate the scenario, and then click on Save once more. Now that we've built the tools, the last step is to give the agent access to them. Remember, the agent is the brain, but the tools are the hands. They're what let it actually take action. So over on the left-hand side, let's jump back into scenarios. Back within scenarios, here we see a list of all the different scenarios that we've added. We have the 2 tools, and we also have the agent workflow. Let's click into the agent workflow. In the top right-hand corner, let's click on Edit. Let's click into the agent module. Now that we're back in agent settings, let's connect the 2 tools that we just created. Right here at the top, we have the option to add tools. Let's click on this. Right up on top, let's select the first tool or the scenario that we just built out. Here we see all the different options. Now, I see the email reply tool. I'll select this one. Down below, we also need to enter in a description so the agent knows when to use this tool. I'll enter in the send email reply, sends a response back to the customer tied to the original message using the reply text generated by the agent. This looks good. So in the bottom, let's click on add. The agent now has access to one tool, so let's add the other. Again, let's click on Add Tools. And right here, we see the drop-down list with all the scenarios. And I'd like to add the Post to Slack tool right here. Let's select that scenario. And here too, we also need to enter in a description. So I'll type in Post to Slack, shares customer email details in a Slack channel so the team stays updated on new messages or escalations. This looks good. So in the bottom right, let's click on Add. With those linked, the agent can not only understand customer emails that are coming in, but can also respond and notify the team when needed. Now that we've added those tools, down below, let's make sure to save this. I'll click on this. Now that we have our tools and the agent is watching incoming messages, it's time to put it all to the test. Let's start by sending a simple email that matches one of our FAQs, something like, "What are your store hours?" Down below, let's send that. Within Make, at the very bottom, let's now try testing this out. Right here, let's click on Run Once. Right up above, I can see that it ran successfully. Let's now check the inbox. Here, the agent replies automatically with all of the right information. Next, let's try something a little bit trickier, like here's a bulk order request for 1,000 cookies with customized packaging with their company logo. Now, that's not something the agent's going to find in the FAQ, so let's see if it escalates it to Slack. This will show that the agent is actually making decisions on its own, not just following a rigid set of rules. Down below, let's send the message. Back within Make, let's try running this again. Here within Slack, I can see that there's a new message within the customer escalation channel. And here it calls out the customer request for a custom cookie order. Now someone on the team can follow up with the customer. This is exactly what I expected. Back within Make, over on the left-hand side, let's click back into scenarios. And here we can see that all 3 of these different scenarios are active. Our agent will read and understand all incoming emails. And then depending on the type of email, it'll either reply directly to the customer or it'll escalate to Slack where someone on the team can follow up. Now, let's take a step back and look at everything we've built inside Make. Over on the left-hand side, let's click into something brand new called the Make Grid. Here, we can see the whole customer support workflow that we just built. Right over here, the email comes in, Then the AI agent reads the email and decides what to do. And then it either sends an email back to the customer with the answer from the FAQ, or right up here, it escalates to Slack. The best part is that as we add more automations, like let's say, for example, order tracking, refunds, or customer surveys, the grid keeps everything visible in one place. You can see the common data sources across multiple scenarios. Now, let's say, for example, we built another workflow using this same exact agent for tracking refunds. We'll be able to see that right here. The grid makes it easy to spot the common dependencies and understand how everything fits together. That way, nothing gets lost, and you always know exactly how your automations are connected. And that's it. We just built our very first AI agent in Make to handle customer support for the Kevin Cookie Company. It automatically responds to common questions, escalates the tricky ones to Slack, and we can see the whole process clearly inside the Make grid. Now, this is just one example, but now you have all the essentials to start creating your own AI agents for whatever tasks you need. Again, if you want to try this out, use the link down below for a free month to a Make Pro plan. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.